magazine rack place. But everybody seemed to gather in those sort of places back in those days. And you walk by and look in the window, and if you saw Dr. Hines in there or somebody you knew, well, you went down and sat down and talked with them and had a cup of coffee. And as I recall, they had young girls and their high school girls usually working as soda jerks, and so the teenage boys hung out there quite a bit too.
We had no sign ordinance, so anybody used their own imagination how to put up a sign. When you got a street full of 1- and 2-story buildings, and you put a sign out in front, and each one wants it seen the farthest, it has to get bigger and bigger and stick out farther and higher. And 4th Avenue was quite a blaze at night. It was interesting to stand there with your camera on a tripod and take night shots of all the neons. It looked something like Las Vegas, but it wasn't backed up by much except these little joints.
If you wanted to meet any of your good friends, you usually went to Club 25. That was the name of it. And she had a drink that was called the Comet. She never would let you know what was in it. Myrtle Stalnaker was her name. Boy, she made an awful lot of comets. And I'm sure she made a lot of money off of her comets. Her comets really flew high.
Cap Lathrop went first class, whatever he did. The theaters that he built were way beyond what you'd expect to find in Alaska or many other places.
In the early 40s, we had just the Empress Theater here, and people would be lined up to get into the theater. The first usherettes in Anchorage worked for at the showing of Gone with the Wind, and they sent up uniforms for them, and I was one of the first usherettes. And they would be lined up for almost a block to get in because the Army was moving in about that time, and there was no real recreation here except going to the movies.
4th Avenue Theater was a real interesting building. It was built, of course, as you know, by Captain Austin E. Lathrop. And Cap Lathrop was a very interesting person. He was an entrepreneur. He started out in shipping out of Seattle and then moved to Cordova when Cordova was booming with the railroad, and then moved on up to Fairbanks and Anchorage. And what he wanted to do was build a theater that'd be a tribute to him. And they had the old Empress Theater, but the 4th Avenue Theater was to be his crowning glory.
I had never seen anything as grand as that. My life, you looked up and saw the stars twinkling in the ceiling and the murals on the walls. I was really impressed.
Oh, they were astounded at its opulence. You know, all the woodwork in it is walnut, and the on each side of the proscenium arch is done in gold leaf and silver leaf. And going upstairs to the mezzanine, all the animals, the flora and fauna was in silver leaf. And the carpet was very luxurious. It's just beautiful.
He just wanted to showplace the Italian marble on the outside. That was all Cap's idea.
An 1,100-seat theater on 4th Avenue in a population at that time, well, when he started, his population about 4,000. By the time it was finished, the population was up around 8,000. That takes a lot of foresight, especially when you consider the money it cost to build it that way.
Many wonderful memories of standing out in the cold, cold weather, zigzag lines, waiting so we could get into the movie. We all dressed for it and had a great social time because you knew everybody standing in line.
And Cap would never allow any popcorn or any food in his places. But he couldn't keep kids from their little jackknives carving up the upholstery and the seats and stuff in the dark. And here he opens up this beautiful new theater, and I asked Sid Rayner after he'd been running for a month or so, what's the reaction of people? How do they treat your new theater? Are you getting as much vandalism as you did in the other one? He said, no. He said he notices the same people who came there in their old work clothes and look pretty shabby are getting all dressed up and coming down here to go to the movies. And the kids are behaving better and they're not carving it up. And it's just raised everybody's standards.
The
the Oyster Loaf Bar was a meeting place for, well, I particularly remember as after hours, after the city council meetings. You'd find the assembly members cussing and discussing the meeting, and the council members, they settled many things not in official action, but in unofficial agreement that that's the way they wanted to go. And then when it came up to a meeting, there was not as much discussion. I don't know whether it's good or bad to have changed that. I think it worked very satisfactorily for Anchorage in those years.
It seemed like in Alaska you would be wearing hoods, not hats. Well, that's all you could find. So I decided, well, I would make some hats because I learned how to make hats. I made 40 hats, and I thought, well, this is the time to start the store. So I called it the Hat Box because the little place that I bought was just about the size of an elongated hat box. And I'm telling you, I opened the store at 11 o'clock on August 17th, 1948. And by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I didn't have a hat left. Honestly, I mean, I was so shocked I couldn't believe it.
So you saw, attempts at a community, attempts by a community to be a community like all the communities they had left behind, wherever it is everyone had come from, and they'd all come from all over the place. So in that sense, it looked like an all-American city. I mean, I've always thought it was no small irony that in, what was it, in the, was it 56? In the mid-50s at some point, Anchorage was voted an all-American city, and they strung that banner across 4th Avenue. And I think it's ironic and it's charming because the Anchorage is so proud. It seemed to be bursting at the seams with this pride of being just like everywhere else. Yet at the same time, there's this idea that they wanted to be different than everywhere else.
Congress voted to enact the statehood bill in 1958 in June. We didn't become a state until January 3rd of 1959. That's a roughly, call it 6 months. And in that 6 months, our economy became dynamic. Things changed. Attitudes of people changed. Their expectations changed. There seemed to be raise the ceiling of their anticipations or the plans or aspirations that they figured we're going to be a state, we're going to do things, and they're all ready to do it. And we had it happening before statehood. It's amazing how just that prospect did it.
Personally, I think statehood brought more sophistication. It brought people in that were concerned about saving for some type of a future. In those days, the old days, money was no object. Nobody owned a home. Very few people. They had no. They didn't want to plan for the future, retirement. All of these guys were single, and when statehood came in, they kind of settled down.
I would imagine there are old timers. I'd be interested to hear what they have to say. Who might speak a little regrettably about it, because it did change, perhaps, or was bound to change the things that made the place unique, or made us that created that sense of separateness that seemed to be important.
Wiggles performed a lot of the downtown places down there, a place called the Alaskan Lounge, which later on, after the earthquake, it converted to the Forum Club, which relocated on Spenard Road. And downtown on 4th Avenue, this fellow Don Chin, who owned the Green Apple, he opened up a nightclub there called the China Doll, and Wiggles performed there on 4th Avenue. There was another place way back here before the quake called the Back Street, and they had entertainment in there. Wiggles performed there. I don't know, it was a kind of an exciting time. Of course, drinks were not expensive, There wasn't the drug problem there is now, and people kind of respected each other.
The part I liked about it, a guy come in and he'd timber the house. I'd never heard of that before. Timber the house. That means everybody in there get a drink on them. Everybody in there get a drink. Whatever the drink is, okay, how much it costs. You double them up, it's okay. And that means at every bar you could go in that I ever worked in, 3 or 4 times a week, somebody come in and timber the house.
Real simply, South Central Alaska was hit by the largest earthquake in North American history that's ever been recorded and studied. The ground simply broke away out in Prince William Sound, and the shock waves emanated out from that, moving at tremendous speed, and we were hit hard here.
It was almost a ghostly type of feeling to me, because there were no lights, and at the time of the earthquake, why, there was quite a bit of fog in the Anchorage area, and it sort of lit a ghostly atmosphere to the whole thing, just unreal, hard to believe.
One outfit, the urban renewal people, decided they're going to have to urban renewal the whole town site. So what does that mean? I want to know right away. What does that mean? Well, you have to get out of the way. Everybody has to move off, and we will do our thing, and then there'll be arrangements for, if you want to, you can come back and buy your property back again after we've improved it and made it safe.
Well, we always had confidence in Anchorage and in Alaska. We immediately announced the building of an office building to help the people who were feeling that maybe that was the end of the road. We announced we were going to build the first modern office building for rent, which we did. And I think that helped the people and gave them some confidence that if the banker was interested in building a new building, certainly it wasn't all gone.
And the earthquake came in, as you know, March 1964, and I literally announced I was going to build a hotel right after that. And I guess there were some benefits. The earthquake was a tragedy, but then everyone wanted to help. The people outside and the suppliers and the banks and everyone. But more than that, everyone was so busy, no one was trying to stop me. That's important.
I think that had a great deal to do with the resurgence of the business confidence in downtown Anchorage, because they built in a place that a lot of people were leaving, saying it's too dangerous to be here. They showed faith in the fact that the town would recover, and that they were willing to put their money into buildings in just an area that was pretty high risk.
The city had to negotiate with these urban renewal guys. They wouldn't give up. But we got them negotiated down to that buttress area. You know the buttress area? That's what they finally got to urban renewal. And they spent 2 or 3 years working on that. They spent $20-something million on it. And after they threw, they won't let a building more than 2 stories high sit on it. And all that stuff. And while they did that, we rebuilt the whole town and had it all going extremely well. It's still working on theirs.
It changed the town, you might say, from a frontier type of stores to more modern structures that they have now. But here again, I don't know, the old friendly atmosphere of the town changed at the same time when it was rebuilt.
I think that the earthquake had a lot to do with the elimination of the nightclubs and the downtown bars and the way people were acting as far as going out partying around in those days. Because when that street went down, it made people do a lot of soul searching.
Oh, the earthquake made some changes for the better. What was rebuilt, redone, restored was so much better than it had been before. It's an awful thing to say, but that side, north side of 4th Avenue, was not the most desirable. Some of the other side of 4th Avenue wasn't either, but when it was gone, what was put in its place was infinitely better.
When I'm working and painting a picture of early Anchorage, I'm there, and I think about what it would be like to be there and to go into the shops and There are a lot of stories that come out of the oyster loaf, but I would love to just spend an evening and eavesdrop in that restaurant.
Whatever we needed to get, we went down 4th Avenue and got it, and if ever we were lonely, we went down 4th Avenue and saw somebody that we could stop and visit with them, and knew most everybody we met.
Well, what I remember is it used to be very easy to run and park your car in front of the post office, run in and get your mail.
Miss most of all knowing everybody that I would meet.
The relationships that we had with each other, it was all very close, and we were dependent upon each other for so much.
I remember as a little kid running down 4th Avenue, coming from a Douglas Fairbanks movie.
And then there came a time when you had to park on a side street and run in and get your mail.
The first movie I ever saw was at the 4th Avenue Theater.
And in the most boring movie, you could lean your head back and look up and watch the Big Dipper.
I remember the first time I was outside of Alaska as a child, and obviously my understanding of constellations was fairly limited because I was surprised to learn that they too could see the Big Dipper. I thought it was our stars.
I can never look at the post office steps without thinking how much fun it was standing out there in the sun talking to old friends.
Then there came a time when you had to circle the block once, hoping someone would have driven out and you could park.
Well, I miss what it was. I don't like to drive down 4th Avenue now and get caught in traffic or try and park there.
I miss the excitement of going out there. There's always somebody you know.
Ship Creek Market. There's an old-fashioned butcher shop where you go in and order your meat, and he'd cut it off of the carcass and cut it, fix it in any fashion you wanted.
And then it got worse and worse.
I don't think there was a day that went by that I didn't go down to 4th Avenue, because that's where I met people that I knew, and could talk to them and maybe sit down and have a cup of coffee with them.
I don't see on 4th Avenue anymore all of my friends. I don't see that meeting place that we used to have.
It was Main Street, USA.